Carlton is paid opposition, and the worst part about it is that you kind of like his job is to be like, oh no, this bad thing happened. I don't like it. We don't know what we're gonna do. But like, he doesn't present any remedy. You know what I mean? He just reads from his script and tries to be emotional and act his way through it. And quite frankly, I mean, some people will say, oh, but what about Sean Hannity? Like, you know what? He's doing the same thing, except in a much more aged fashion. Then they'll say, but what about Lou Dobbs? I don't really know. I think if Lou Dobbs was ready to, you know, I think Lou Dobbs thinks he needs to be there to see it to the end. But at the same time, I'm also just kind of sitting there thinking to myself, like, say what you want about, what's that guy's name? I can't.
I'm even talking about these online people that diverted the whole, you know, when you and I broke out. My son knocked out my front tooth, so I have to get a new front tooth on Monday. But I sound a little bit slurred, but I just want to say,
I don't think any of those guys who were, you know, let me say this.
That's the thing that I'm trying to point out here.
I'll go on record. I think a lot of these online, internet-based media groups are basically trying. I think they insult their audience straight up.
Truly, especially and what I'm trying to point out is the Q people in specific.
Sorry, what's that?
I'm really trying to point out the Q people in specific because I think that they've really.
No, we don't even need to mention those. We don't even need to mention those characters. They're going to listen. They're going to expose themselves very shortly. Just let it be. Just let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Like you know what? I want to tell you guys listening. I think you're going to be shocked. Not how many people in the media and entertainment and, you know, all these other facets of your, you know, visual experience are, you know, carted off and going to, you know, sent to jail for sedition. You know, I think you're going to be shocked how many internet personalities, I'm not even talking about Hollywood, I'm talking about how many internet personalities that you think are innocuous and normal and, you know, they just have a different view from me. No, like you're going to lose. Listen, let me tell you very carefully. There was a moment, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where they had this big. That was when the cons were really big. It was like 2017, maybe early summer, mid 2018. I think it might have been. No, it might have been. But the point is that there was a bunch of cons in California, in the Hollywood area. And one of the things that came out of it was they were like media cons for like YouTube personalities and stuff. And I knew during that con, they were having another media influencer con separate for, you know, it was China. China showed up, threw a bunch of money out, put on a bigger, better version of the cons, you know, the YouTube cons, they had a bunch, I repeat, I just need to finish, they had a bunch of your favorite YouTubers come on there. And what they did was they started paying your favorite YouTubers to repeat the same Marxist, you know, Communist Chinese Party narrative line so that you couldn't even go hide in your favorite underground YouTube content creators page and entertain yourself without being mentally assaulted with malign psychological warfare. And when you see how many people it was in YouTube who are just like just on that list, once we finally get the networks back, once we finally have a network that cannot remove, and that's coming soon too, you're going to lose your mind because you're going to suddenly see, oh my God, look at this. Like, a great example is Internet Today. On the one hand, these guys are smart. They're supposed to be like, you know, articulate. They're supposed to be critical thinkers. But for some weird reason, hey, you're telling me you guys can't, you know what I mean? Like all of these highbrow, commentary, but for some really weird reason, these are the same guys who just repeat the same. They're mockingbirds.
We're supposed to be the ones that we're not. Nobody's supposed to listen to us. We're the bad ones, right?
I mean, you know what? Honestly, here's my thing. I think you have a pretty smart audience. I think there are some intelligent people, and I'm not saying that like from a firsthand, interactive, level. But I think anyone who's coming back to see what your content is about has got to be thinking to themselves, well, I really would like to hear somebody say something either A, I haven't heard before, that I can go and learn something new about, and develop my. Because I definitely believe in Royer, which is or Doyer, which is do your own research. And I think you at least have an audience who's going to go look. But I mean, thank goodness that we're the kind of people that are willing to tell them, hey, here's where I got my information from, but here's where you find, aspects of the source material, prime source material or firsthand material. Here you go. That's where I looked it up. Here you go. Here's the correlated information to it. So we're lucky for being able to present that, but some people just say this is the world, and that's the way it was. You know what I mean? They give you this Howard Cosell script in that way. But I'm saying that only because of the fact that, getting back to your statement earlier, which is I am not worried about those people stealing the material and running around trying to present themselves as the foremost authority with a corrupted version of what we're communicating, or even those who just slightly flavor it with their own narrative or their own agenda, only because of the fact that I'm going to tell you right now, listen to me very carefully. People are not emotionally, psychologically, spiritually prepared for what Trump exposes. And I'm going to tell you, Trump is going to be your president for another 4 years. They've been planning to make sure that happens. And when you suddenly realize that everyone who's trying to listen to me very carefully, everyone in the know who's getting paid as a personality in media in general, it doesn't matter if they're it doesn't matter if they're a physicist, a virologist, or phlebotomist, or a doctor, a lawyer, or a former intelligence operative, or whoever they are. Once they get brought out to try to tell you anything contrary to what the real truth is, and I'm sure some of you already really know what the truth is. So I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. I'm sure I am. For the vast majority who listen to this, but I want to tell you very clearly, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to wake up one day and there's going to be an imminent sensation of fear on the voices of these people. And you're going to hear it in two ways. One, you're going to hear it, and it's going to be like, Trump's a danger, Trump's a danger, Trump's a danger, and all this other stuff. Trump's hooligans and all this other stuff. And then maybe about a few days later, maybe even a week later, they're going to be reading you the news. Or, even stranger, you're going to wake up one day, and they're not even going to bother to, it's going to be all new people on the news. And you're going to be like, what's going on here? And what you're not gonna know is that those are all of the people who work at an AFN, an MAN, an NAN, and you're like, well, what are those? Those are the military's versions of newscasters. And the reason why everyone you know in media has been replaced with military newscasters is because those are the people who are going to be reading you the news, and that's the only way you're going to get the truth. Which brings up the question, where'd my favorite radio host go? because they're not off the hook either. NPR, every radio host you know has been participating in sedition. Do you know that? That's crazy. So many jobs are going to pop up on the military website for, listen. I've been to
very complicit in this. In fact, this morning,
listen, whenever the U.S. goes to war with someone, they always replace the media first. Once they've gotten a good foothold in your country, everyone does this. Mm-hmm. They replace the media first, and that's what they did to us. They did it to us. They got a foothold, then they replaced the media, and they've been attacking us with propaganda for ages, and now generations. And now, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to see it flipped. And your neighbors are going to come out of I know people right now.
NPR reporting about the attack on the White House prior to the White House even being attacked. It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Or the CNN post that says that Trump hadn't even shown up for the rally, and they've already got CNN people out there with a banner, with a little digital banner under the TV on the TV screen saying Trump's desperate attempt to start a coup. How is the president cooing anything? He's already the president.
The other thing is I have a question. And it's a fair question. And the question is, how are you claiming a dictator is a dictator when he can be censored? The first thing, a dictator cannot be censored.
Thank you. But I mean, again, this is that sociopathic, psychopathic behavior of accusing you of everything they're guilty of. First, they will literally be calling you a murderer while they're trying to stab someone to death.
There's no logic. It's criminal activity. There's no logic. I can't.
Well, here's something I've noticed though. Here's something I've noticed about
the thing is
the situation. I'm sorry. What's that?
I'm just trying to say, we all, it's really hard for us all to wrap our mind around, and I'm having a hard time as well. And I'm a single mom, and it's been really tough.
Let me say this. I'm going to name somebody because they're close to me, right? They're really close to me. They're maybe like a half an hour to 45 minutes away from where I live. And they're a big personality. And they're, I don't see this guy stealing anyone's material, but I do see him reference it. And that's fine. He's at least giving credit, but he's also in a different situation. He might see your material and go do his own research. And for that, I say he's definitely a journalist. Or one of the last few ones. But I can tell you something interesting, and I can tell you why I'm speaking about him, which is he's in a situation where none of the people around him, not only did they not believe him, they were pretty much the opposition. And now he's in a situation where people are coming up to him who cursed him out on a regular basis, saying, "I don't like this. So he's in a college town.
And everybody around me was doing the same thing for months, like the last 2 months, and they're not real, and they're feeding me fake information and all this stuff, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God."
Yeah, because see, here's the thing: is a lot of these people have traveled around. Some of them might have gotten out of their neighborhood. Maybe they went to another state or
a little vacation.
I'm so happy. They kind of probably hate their lives.
I'm so happy.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I'm happy. It's not just me that happened to.
Well, let me say this. This is happening to a lot of. Here's a great example. I have family members calling me, wanting to talk to me about the situation in regards to what's happening in D.C. and everything they saw on television. And the first thing they're going to probably say is, "You see that crazy stuff Trump did.